As we've been covering politics, we've been watching a very serious situation at a prison in Delaware. There's a hostage situation underway now. The James T. Vaughn Correctional Center, which is in the town of Smyrna. According to the Department of Corrections, inmates are holding a group of guards hostage at this correction facility. The president of the Correctional Officers Association of Delaware says the inmates now have complete control of the building. We have some Skycam pictures from Sky Fox, which has been flying not directly over it, but off from the property. And if you were to watch long enough, you'd see the inmates are in charge of the asylum. As a precaution, every single prison across that state is now on lockdown. The prison where this hostage situation is happening is Delaware's largest adult male facility. It houses minimum, medium, and maximum security inmates, and the inmates are in charge of the whole thing now. 2,500 inmates there. Some live pictures which are coming in. That's the skid of the helicopter, and they're panning around now to give us a shot of the prison. And if history is my guide, they'll zoom in there and show you in just a second, sort of surveying the landscape now with the West Cam on that helicopter. The prison is coming into the area right there, I believe. At any rate, it also houses prisoners who are on death row. And Trace Gallagher's been following this while we've been watching politics. Trace, a very serious situation when the inmates take over.
It is, Shep, and you can see right there, that is the prison they're now zooming in on. And this all began this morning. You can see some of the guards standing outside. It began when fire crews were notified that there was some kind of smoke coming out of the James T. Vaughn Correctional Center. It still remains unclear if there was actually a fire in the compound. Now we're being told 3 to 5 correctional officers have been taken hostage. And as you mentioned, the inmates have control of a building, is what they're saying. You can see there are many buildings here. This is medium, minimum, and maximum security prisons, so there are several buildings. It remains unclear if the building they're surrounding right now is the one that we are talking about, if that's the one they have control of. This also has a death row. In fact, it is Delaware's largest death row. Executions are done on site. So we don't know exactly what building the standoff is in. We do know, as you said, all 5 prisons across the state, as a precaution, placed on lockdown. The prison maintains there is no threat to the public. And as you can see from the demeanor of the people outside, that appears to be the case. We do know the Department of Corrections response team is on scene, as well as the Delaware State Police, and dozens of police vehicles and ambulances continue to pour into the compound. We don't know why the ambulances are there, because so far there are no reports of any injuries. Again, 2,500 inmates. It was back in 2004, an inmate took a prison counselor hostage, barricaded himself and her inside one of the buildings for more than 6.5 hours, and repeatedly he kept threatening to kill the counselor. That inmate was later killed when SWAT teams stormed the office. The cause of the standoff was later determined to be poor security. This facility you're looking at has been open for about 50 years, Shep, but they did a major renovation back in 1990, spent about $110 million, kind of increasing the security. And you talked about history kind of being our guide. If you go through the reason for these uprisings, these violent outbursts toward prison guards has always been mostly because of 1, prison crowding, or 2, prison services. We haven't had any complaints that we've seen from this prison as of late. There are supposed to be enough beds for all 2,500 of the inmates, and there have been no grievances that we can find either. So the reasoning for all this remains unclear. We're kind of waiting for the Department of Corrections to give us a little bit more information. And right now the information has been very, very lean in the past few minutes. But we do know that one of the buildings is now fully controlled by inmates inside that building. We don't know if they're maximum, minimum, or medium security. The maximum we anticipate or would expect would not be involved, because the death row inmates only get an hour a day outside of their prison cells. They're in for 23 hours a day. Shep.
Trace, very good. Thanks very much. It's been going on about 4.5 hours. When we learn about demands or anything else from there, we'll take you back.